Hello and welcome to Cutie Art Crusaders, episode 30 for January 22nd. I'm doing the intro today because I just wanted to let you guys know that unfortunately today we're not going to have a special guest. It didn't work out and we had some complications, so we're just going to have a normal episode today. But before we go into all of that, I'd like to introduce myself, and I am Burned01 and I'm the special guest coordinator. And I'm only joined by two of my other associates today, who are
Pinky Dash. I do the questions, etc.
And I'm Rainbow Plasma, and I've never introduced myself in this way, so it's really weird. The order is all messed up.
It's all funky. Yeah, we're not joined by Flutter Guy today. He had some family stuff to do, unfortunately, because we're recording on Saturday, because Friday didn't turn out.
Yeah, we tried to do Friday, that didn't work out, so we moved it to Saturday. Then Flutter Guy had some family stuff to do on Saturday, and just a bunch of junk that we have to get through quickly here, because I've got a hockey game to watch.
Yeah.
Because hockey is back. That's amazing. And I was actually... funny thing is, because Cosmic Unicorn wasn't going to show up, I had to kind of throw together a theme. And, okay, I just said throw together a theme. It's still a good theme, and it's still got good art pieces. But I had to, kind of come up with one that's got good art pieces with it. And I was actually thinking, because hockey's starting again today, I might have done, the theme was hockey. And so I, tried to do that, and I was like, okay, there's, no hockey pieces. All right, well, how about just sports? Okay, I can't find any sports pieces. So that didn't work out.
Also, if it was hockey, you'd be the only one talking.
Exactly.
Just putting that out.
I like hockey, just noob hockey.
You like noob hockey?
I've never seen a full hockey game in my life.
You are missing out, my friend.
Yeah, I've never watched professional hockey. I always watch B-League hockey. It's all about the Alaska Aces.
Well, Pee-wee hockey is fun, too, in its own way. That's for sure.
Pee-wee hockey? I'm not talking Pee-wee hockey. I'm just talking B-League.
Well, any amateur hockey league.
Kids might be fun to watch. A lot
Yeah.
of falling. A lot of falling.
Yeah,
I remember those halftime shows. That's good.
Exactly.
times.
But yeah, so we couldn't do hockey or sports today. So I immediately, my brain, I was like, okay, ponies, Rainbow Dash. Can't do a theme on Rainbow Dash. Clouds? So our theme this week is clouds.
Hooray!
Because that's how my thought process goes. And
Apparently.
also, I saw some tremendous pieces in Burns' favorite folder. Because my default was actually go to Burns' favorite folder and find amazing things, and then work a theme around that. So I ended up finding a couple
Wait,
things.
so you went Clouds and Rainbow Dash, not Cloud Chaser or Cloud Kicker?
No, because there's always that there's you always see Rainbow Dash lying on a cloud, or there's a bunch of pieces with clouds and Rainbow Dash in it. As you'll probably see today, because I think 3 out of the 4 pieces we're featuring have Rainbow Dash in them.
But Cloud Chaser is best pony.
Oh,
She has best hair.
She has some pretty spectacular hair, that's for sure.
Alright, well anyway.
I guess nobody's doing art this week because the Flutter Guy's gone.
Yeah,
So
I'll try to take over Flutter Guy's spot, I suppose.
okay, cool.
I'll pretend to be Flutter Guy. Nah, I can't really do that.
Giggle once for me.
Oh, crap, how does he laugh? Nope, can't do it.
Damn it! I was hoping you'd actually try.
No one can laugh like Flutter Guy.
That's true. That's why he's on the show. That
It's
is
unique.
that is the singular reason. No, it's not. That's awful.
It's because we love him. Sexually.
What's the first piece, Burned?
Anyway, first piece is called Race in the Clouds by Forward to Adventure.
That's a great username, by the way. I always give people crap for hard to pronounce usernames. I feel like I should put it out there when people have good usernames. That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. You just give crap people for their titles.
Sometimes. I don't give as much crap there because I feel like with titling pieces, it's hard, and I know that. But with coming up with a name, it's really not. It's hard, but it's not that difficult to come up with a name that you can pronounce.
I want my name to just be like a huge conglomeration of numbers and letters and be AKA face on my keyboard.
You have a bunch of these different combinations, but then you're like, oh, how's that pronounced? And you're like, face on my keyboard.
Alright, anyway, before we get further sidetracked, it's pretty cool. No, I like this piece. We were looking for cool pieces that had unique uses of clouds, and this one is pretty unique in that the clouds all look pretty 3D and they kind of pop and separate from each other, and they're kind of separated by that little area of value, light and dark. there's not a lot of atmospheric perspective except in the clouds in the very, very back. But you can, the thing that kind of helps them look a little bit 3D is, what is it, Rainbow Dash's little, like, rainbow streak line
thing,
streak, whatever you want to call that, kind of how it ducks between clouds, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like this piece is like more of a traditional. I mean, it's hard to say because in art pieces all across everywhere, clouds are done in so many different ways, and there's a billion different ways you can do clouds effectively, non-effectively, and there's actually a lot more pieces that we can't show in this show just because we've either showed them before that have clouds or they didn't quite fit, or I don't know. But there's just a million different ways to do it. But I feel like this kind of fits one of the most traditional. It's kind of fluffy. Not too, like the edges aren't too defined. I don't know. It seems like more traditional to me.
Definitely. It's very simplistic.
Yeah,
Makes it
for
nice,
sure.
Actually.
Yeah, like it's not, the clouds are there as a background, and especially because like clouds are a great way to make a white background without it being a white background, you know? like Rainbow Dash and Spitfire both really pop out of this just naturally.
Yeah, well, their shadows help. Their shadows help for that a lot.
Yeah, the shadows are actually awesome in this piece. I love them. You know, the artist is like, I'm not too happy with the shadows, but I really like them.
Mm-hmm. Like, even they have, like, the darker shading on, like, the bottom of the cloud, and that helps a lot.
Also, in terms of making them pop, they've both got, or both the ponies have outlines, whereas nothing else in the shot does.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
So that helps.
Yeah, that's a good, I actually wasn't even noticing that. That's a good point.
Very true to the show.
Mm-hmm. There's something, like, horsey about this piece. I don't know. There's always...
Rainbow Dash.
Yeah, Rainbow Dash is a little bit
horsey. I'm not sure what that is. Maybe it's just, like, the bigger muzzle. Because, like, when you look at characters from the show, they kind of have a circular head.
It's a kind of like a masculine, more horse-looking muzzle.
Yeah, yeah.
Where, like, in the show, they have pony-esque, like, little round noses, you know?
Yeah, exactly. It's not bad, though. Like, a lot of times it reaches that... I'm hesitating to use the word uncanny valley, because that's usually used with human faces.
I don't even know what that means.
What?
You don't?
I have no idea what that means.
You don't know what the uncanny valley means?
Nope.
Let me just...
Is that like some sort of theme park?
Let me just take
us.
Let me just take this moment to bask in the glory of finally knowing something that Byrne doesn't know.
I'm pretty sure, like, everyone else watching this right now is like,
no,
what the heck are you talking
uncanny
about?
valley is not an advanced term. The uncanny
I'm pretty
valley...
sure it's some kind of funky Canadian term that
The
no one
uncanny
knows.
valley is
Probably.
a term used when creating human faces, where there's like a graph of it, and
Alright.
I'll show the graph on the screen. But basically, when you get up here, I'll just Google it. Uncanny valley, because you guys need the visual for this.
Un momento.
Un momento while I find the uncanny valley graph. Okay, this has got a lot of words on it, and it's not a very good example. So don't look at the words, just look at the graph, and I'll explain it to you.
Okay.
So, in this, you've got, like, the first big lump. And, like, when you hit that first big lump, that's when you have, like, the cute, like, robots and stuff. Like Wall-E. It's got human features, but it's still cute. And
Sure.
then you keep adding human features, and then all of a sudden there hits this point where it gets, like, too human, but not quite enough, you know? It gets, like, eerily close to it, like those robots. Those robots that, like, look kind of human, but there's something off about them. And that's the uncanny valley. It's when you try to get something that looks perfectly human, but miss it by a little bit. It causes this really weird, like, ooh. Like, that's why in this graph, they have something about a prosthetic hand. That's why when you look at, like, a fake hand, it's, like, so close to a real one, but there's something off about it.
Yeah,
and it makes you go, like, ugh.
Totally common knowledge, you know?
It is totally... The uncanny valley...
About
Yeah,
that,
I've totally heard of this.
is a commonly known term. Everyone in the comments, please tell me that you know what the uncanny valley is, because that is a commonly known term.
And if you don't, and you're crazy, please do tell as well.
Anyways, what I was trying to get to here is it's not the uncanny valley because it's talking about horses, but there's some sort of uncanny horse valley where you go from, like...
Horse Valley.
you hit that dip when it looks too much like a horse.
Oh, God. So, Uncanny Horse Valley is now a term we're
It was an
gonna
awful
use.
metaphor to start with.
It's a great metaphor because it's hilarious.
But yeah, there's something about, like, if you go too horse, like, if you become too much of a horse, it's like, ugh.
You never go full
Yeah, exactly.
horse.
You never go full horse. This is still, like,
It's just
cartoony.
weird.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's fantastic.
How do you not know what the uncanny valley? It's common knowledge. I'm telling you right now.
It's not common knowledge.
I'm telling you, it's common knowledge. I'm gonna test this on Flutter Guy. I'm gonna text him.
The area in between, like the amount of humanoid features that make something look human and/or realistic or lifelike is not that the graph to that per se or psychology behind that is not common knowledge to me. But maybe I just haven't taken a Uncanny Valley class yet.
Okay. I'm going to text Flutter Guy right now. Do you know what the Uncanny Valley is?
We are getting way too off track.
No. Okay, we'll bring this up when he texts me back, okay? We'll figure it out. Hopefully he does during the podcast. Anyways, so back on the flimsy track that we normally have on our show, this piece, which has just been on the screen the entire time, like, look at me, pay attention to me. This piece is really awesome. Something that I thought was really amazing was the difference between the streaks in Spitfire and Rainbow Dash's different streaks. Like, Rainbow Dash has a similar thing to what she does in the show. Like, in the show, whenever she does that, she has kind of like a jagged line. Yeah. And then it's kind of cool to see Spitfire have more of like a flowy, almost like flamey trail to her.
We're different.
Exactly.
It's weird that Rainbow Dash is like Tron, and then Spitfire is like Flame. I think what was even cooler about this was made back in January. Like, this is made almost exactly a year ago. In 2012, January 2012. Nice.
And the person didn't know what Spitfire's cutie mark was. And so they were just like, I don't know, let's make a flaming wing.
Yeah.
That's what Spitfire's cutie mark is. Pretty good prediction.
Have we actually seen Spitfire's cutie?
Yeah, we saw it in the Wonderbolt Academy. I believe so. We've definitely seen it. It's definitely canon now. I can guarantee you that, but I don't remember what exact episode.
I remember seeing it multiple times.
Yeah, but yeah, that's like a pretty lucky guess there. I guess it's not too hard to. It's not exactly a far-fetched theory, but yeah. Anyways,
an awesome piece.
Anyways, whew. Well, that was quite the way to start with with those tangents. But let's move on to the next piece.
Let's see if this applies to the Uncanny Horse Valley.
The Uncanny Horse Valley. I need to make a graph about that now.
I'm not saying anything about it.
Like ponies, like horses, and then have like
yeah.
Anyway. All right, so this next piece is called "Raindrops Above the Clouds" by John Azeko.
I've never heard of John Azeko.
Yeah, I know. It's he's actually an up and coming artist. I think
he hasn't been around that long. He doesn't make too much stuff. We always make these jokes every time we bring them up.
I'm pretty sure I was about to say, I'm pretty sure we've made this joke already.
We've never featured raindrops before, so that's pretty cool.
There you go.
Very cool.
That's one of the lesser appreciated ponies. Well designed and all that.
And also one of the cuter ones along just like color concepts.
Yeah, but I mean, to be fair, everything that JJ makes is adorable. So
I just meant.
But like raindrops in the show.
Yeah.
That's true. That's true. Does she have the typical derpy mane?
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
I'm probably gonna get destroyed for saying that.
I'm gonna get destroyed for insinuating it. We know someone who's quite into the weather team, so we can't say anything bad. It's a great pony and it is the best. And yay!
I hate weather ponies.
We're not doing a weather pony episode. Sorry.
Oh,
yes.
Sad.
We've already had weather clouds. There's been a couple more that have to do with it.
But
Water.
It's more like background characters that having to do with weather.
Maybe.
Underappreciated background characters. That'd be a nice episode.
Maybe. Ha! Flutter Guy does know what the Uncanny Valley is. Ha ha!
Dang it.
I'm gonna take a screen cap of this and post it on the screen. Post it on the screen right now.
Right along.
No, we've got to linger on this because I'm totally right for once. I'm usually stupid, but I'm not today. Haha. Sorry. Yeah. No.
I know.
Anyways, about this
of
piece.
graphs that no one ever knows.
No, but this piece is a different type of cloud. Like the last cloud was that kind of fluffy, very similar to the piece, but this one is a lot more wispy, like blurry and especially like the clouds along the bottom right hand of the screen where it starts like streaking out and becoming those like thin layer of clouds. Thought that was really interesting.
A different type of clouds. Like I'm not a cloud aficionado, but I know that there's multiple kinds of clouds and different kinds of clouds that do different things in different areas of atmosphere. Blah blah blah. But this has like the longer cloud where it kind of like swoops off on like kind of, it goes over an area of plane. You can kind of see like those long wispy clouds, to like the right of the piece going over the other clouds, and how all the clouds kind of seem to like recede and arc downward. Where in our last piece, they were all kind of round. They were kind of like those typical daytime clouds that just kind of float across the sky. Do you know more about clouds than I do, or?
So on that, the far left hand side, I would say the cumulus cloud.
Oh.
And on the right hand side, where it's all flat, I would say it's probably an altostratus cloud.
Did you Google types of clouds?
I did
Because
not.
that's what I did.
I happen to know those offhand.
And it was a pretty good. That was pretty accurate.
No, I was very impressed. I was impressed.
Because I Googled it and I was gonna be like, well, that sounds like but you did that. I don't know. I'm sure.
Also, I like the drawings like this, or the art pieces like this that do like a weird perspective of it. Like it's not flat horizontal.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
I like things that do that. Like that other one that we showed ages ago, the Rainbow Dash one, where she's flying through the air and the whole screen is tilted. I like it.
Yeah, for sure. I don't really know how to like look at this one properly because like if you look at the pony, it's like, oh well, this pony's right set up, and you're like, wait.
Yeah, our
That's
last
weird.
piece, it was like we were looking kind of down on them and like down at the earth. And in this one, you kind of don't know how to look at it. You're looking at it the orientation of the pony, but I mean, the clouds kind of floating, so I don't know. But it gives a greater kind of like depth to the perspective about how the background of the earth is kind of at that angle, you know?
I almost think of it as making the piece a little bit round because your eye line starts out flat, like horizontal. Like you're imagining the horizon is horizontal, and as you move to the right, like looking down at the other parts of the piece, it like curves down.
Yeah.
And I don't know, for some reason that gives it like a round feel to me.
Well, it also it helps create a little bit better composition for it, because if the horizon was just flat, it would be a little bit boring, and then there wouldn't be a lot of area on the far right of the piece. So since kind of like the focus is the pony on the left, and kind of almost bottomish left, it's really just the left half. Having the horizon at an angle lets you have more interesting space with that deep violet in like the top right. And if it wasn't at an angle, there just wouldn't be as much space there. It'd feel a little bit more cramped, and it just wouldn't feel as nice, you know. I'm losing my voice, but it wouldn't feel as nice.
You join me. I'm sick. So.
Yeah, both of you guys are kind of.
It's still
sickly.
early for me because I kind of just woke up right before this, but I guess I have allergies when I wake up or something, so it takes me like an hour to like clear my sinuses.
Interesting.
I've been sick for like a week and a half.
I've been sick for like 2 months.
Yeah, you really have, because you were sick. Oh, jeez. I'm perfectly healthy, and I actually avoided a sickness. I woke up a couple days ago, and I was like, oh, I feel like crap, and then I just like stuffed my face full of like soup and like cold pills, and now I feel
Vitamin C
great.
and zinc.
Well, whoop-de-doo, Basil.
Yes.
Oh
Just make
wow.
a
I made my own soup.
Did you just make a faulty towers joke?
Well, what?
No,
No,
that was
a Austin
darn.
Powers joke.
Austin Powers.
Oh, okay. Anyways, John Ozeko, you make some cool stuff. You should come on the show sometime. I don't know.
I think we've tried it.
I think we've tried like 8 times.
I've sent him an invite or two, but I know he gets a really full inbox. I've met him at Everfree Northwest, and he's a really cool guy. He's really humble.
Oh yeah,
really
for
awesome
sure.
guy to meet, awesome guy to talk to, especially when I got different like commissions for you. From other
Yeah,
people,
yeah,
so.
no, yeah, for sure. There comes a point though where you become so popular that it's hard to respond to every single thing.
Yeah, especially.
And you also start having like an expectation, especially with JJ. Like he does a really good job of releasing a lot of pieces, and he's got a bunch of different stuff going on. So he's a busy guy.
And he's done a couple interviews before, so.
Yeah. I'm not gonna advertise them
Yeah.
in case we have one in the future, but
Anyway,
I guess they're out there.
have we commented on how the clouds look in this piece, like as far as value wise?
Not value wise.
I use that term, but I'm just mean going from light to dark, about how the lighting is, because I mean, I'm assuming this is lit by the moon, so.
Right. Yeah. Because it's nighttime.
So it's kind of it's like there's a lot less light than in our last piece, but you can still see those like area of highlights and brighter values on like the tip of the clouds and how it separates them from the clouds in the background, and it creates the illusion that there's atmospheric perspective, even though this is probably really high in the atmosphere. I'm just using that term that the clouds that are supposed to be in the background are a little bit more desaturated, where the ones in the foreground that she's like standing on is really bright, and the one behind her head is really bright. And then those clouds way back in the distance that are considered the horizon are really gray, so they kind of create that illusion that they're far away,
Right.
But no, I love this piece. Just like composition, the angle, just a simple pony like staring off into the starry night. It's really nice. John Azakel likes doing pieces like this. He does a lot of pieces that have a similar feel to this with Luna and a lot of other ponies. It's nice.
Yeah, for sure.
Simple. Fluffy. Anyway.
Well, I mean, there's not much to say about it. I think the lesson that we learned last week in value really helps with that because, just the separation of the brightness of the cloud in the front and then suddenly you've got the darkness there, really helps push it forward. There's not much to say other than that,
So, our now third piece is by one of artists that we've featured many times before, and I've actually flashed this piece on the screen for a brief second. But this next piece is called "Up in the Clouds" by Chimicharichanga, and
Chimicharichanga.
Chimicharichanga is
yeah.
we have Chimicharichanga on the show a lot, just random pieces and stuff like that.
All the paintings he does are just awesome.
Yeah.
So this is another one of those, and I love the feel of this and like the colors and the swirling, and I think it's awesome. And even like the perspective, how it's you're ground up looking at the sky, like with her. So.
Right. Yeah, for sure. I don't know. I mean, like a lot of the different pieces that we feature on the show can be put into so many different categories because there's a lot of elements in each piece, so you can't just categorize it into one thing. Like this isn't just a cloud piece, Yeah. And I think something that this piece does really awesome is light, because the way that it uses light with the clouds and the different colors, and even things like the shafts of light are really cool. I just love this piece in general just because of how it handles it. And it's not afraid. Some people are afraid to make their piece too dark. And Chimicharichanga says, "No, forget that. I'm gonna make this piece as dark as I want to, and it's gonna look great."
Yeah. No, a lot of artists like to experiment with using just like really, really dark pieces to where almost you can't make out the piece, or the focus or anything in the background. So it's those super, super minute details is what makes up the piece. It's kind of like when we're getting into the background of like sketching, how you don't have to finish certain things and leave them undetailed because your mind fills in the details. It starts getting into that and like a far stretched area of that. But no, it's nice to have the kind of really dark area in the bottom of this because it makes the really bright part where that sun would be kind of peeking over the clouds or hidden still by the clouds. It makes that more of a focus and makes it brighter to the eye and makes you look at it and all of the things around it. And then it kind of makes makes Rainbow Dash pop a lot too, especially like her face and her hair. And her eye especially. That's one of the things you like to look at. Consider she has that bright white eye. It lets you know that she is there. Yeah.
This comes down to really good planning. Because you can do as much work as you want to on this Rainbow Dash could have been in any pose here, but the planning was done really well because the parts that would naturally stick out, like her hair and her eyes, are all pushed up to the top, which is good because, the light's going to be hitting the top anyways, so that's going to create a focal point. So put those if he was in any other pose, it would be two different focal points. But in this one, because of the pose, those two focal points come together into one big focal point. And so it doesn't, there's no distraction from what you're supposed to be looking at,
Yeah. I really like how there's no, what's the word for that? Background environment, like hills or mountains or anything distracting on the bottom part of this digital painting where that deep blue is. There's no distractions or things that you might see there, like trees or whatever. It's just, it kind of makes the angle in which you're looking a bit more mysterious and a bit more curious, rather, even though those terms rhyme. But it's like adding something like that would just be unnecessary, and you could argue that you're not able to see it because you're looking at such an upward angle. But regardless, I think it's nice that it's not there, and I think the blue is a nice offset from the darker value of Rainbow Dash. So in terms of value, again, this is awesomely well done. Especially, I'm sure if we were to grayscale this, if you want to do that in editing, feel free. It would probably still look pretty fantastic.
I'm not exactly sure about that. Because I feel like this piece uses a lot of color to differentiate. There's definitely going to be a shift. There's definitely going to be a shift in value from that one bright spot outwards.
And
but it's going to be a lot of smooth.
Rainbow Dash is more the point I'm trying to make. But the colors in the clouds, yeah, you're right. Those might tend
But
to
I think the
blend
background itself is not the best usage of value. But again, like we mentioned last week, that value isn't everything. But I think in terms of an example of value, I think Rainbow Dash is a good example of that, because it goes from that really bright in her hair and her eyes down to the shadow underneath her chin. So that's good. But I think the background isn't the best example of value.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, what's up, guys? I'm editing myself in again. I was completely wrong when I said this. Now that I'm editing and I'm looking at it grayscaled, it's actually a fantastic example of value using, a combination of value and color together. So don't listen to me. I'm talking out of my butt. This is actually quite good. If you look at it grayscaled, you can see the differences in value and how it separates the background from the foreground and the pony's head from the background and all of that. So yeah, it actually is a good example of value and color together. Listen to that point, not the one I'm trying to say here.
But it's maybe not value, but I think it's a good example of how sometimes you might not need value if it doesn't differ, because all those colors and how they're swirled together is pretty awesome. Chimichanga usually does an awesome job of like swirling in those colors and using different colors. So how that's like a peach like blends into the violet and everything, and like having the blue, and he has all sorts of colors that he keeps bringing in all over in those clouds. But the colors help separate like each layer of clouds to just create this layering effect of like atmosphere. That's really cool.
Yeah, and I wanted to bring up too in this piece, the reason why I included this, because it was a different style of cloud. And even though we've got this very smooth and transition between the different ones, we've got these like, I used the word wispy last time. I'm not sure if that's the right term, but we've got these little tails in this that are more, it's less faded and more of like a definitive line, cutting into things. You see it at the bottom of the piece where the peach hits the violet, and you see them on the right-hand side. And I really like that. And this piece uses 4 or 5 different cloud techniques together, because up near the top you've got really, like up near that bright focal point, you got really wispy stuff, and the opacity is changed and all of that, and then you come down and it's more smooth and flowy, and then you hit the violet and you've got not only these harsh wisps but then these billowing clouds. And I thought just this piece in general, even though we mentioned it before, was a great example of all of the techniques. I mean, it's hard to use every single technique at once, and I think that's pretty spectacular to be able to do that. But I think this is a good example of, you want to see 4 different cloud styles? Here you go. All in one piece.
Yeah, no, this piece is a great example of just that there's an infinite amount of way to do clouds and like artistic representation of clouds. Like even the show does clouds a certain way that's similar to this, where it has those curls and has those wisps and they're really flowy. So like there's a traditional way to do clouds, kind of like how John Azeko did it in our last piece, and then there's some more artistic way that you can do it here. And there's really just infinite amount of ways that you can do it, either really realistically or interpretively. So this is an awesome example of that, how you can make clouds something more artistic than having them be something more traditional. Because like when you look at it, you don't have to look at it and be like, that's how clouds look in real life. You can be like, that's more how clouds feel, which gets more into like abstract and expressionist terms, but whatever. Still an awesome way to do clouds. And this is probably one of my favorite way that I've ever seen clouds used as like the focal point of an art piece. This has been one of my favorites for a long time, so that's why I tried to work it into that last episode, like flashed on the screen, like look at this.
Yeah. It's I think it's important to look at when you're making clouds in a piece, because I think it's going to be a typical thing, especially if you're doing Pegasi, they're going to be in clouds. The fact that I found so many cloud pieces in just in a snap tells you right there. People enjoy making clouds. People, when they think of ideas, they think of clouds, especially if you're thinking of Pegasi. And I think the important thing is to understand the style you're going for and understand the purpose of the clouds in a piece. Because in a piece such as our raindrops one, even though the clouds took up the majority and they are a focal point, the focal point of that piece was the pony, Raindrops. And so the clouds in the background were more wispy and didn't have super hard edges and were light and added to the piece. Whereas this one, as we get closer and closer towards the focal point, the clouds become more of a focal point with those hard edges and those the clouds that you see at the bottom are much more noticeable than the clouds you see up at the top. And so I think something that the show does, which is kind of, I mean, the show has to do it because of the style that the show is in, but the clouds in the show have a very harsh outline to them, and they pop out of the sky. And that's not exactly the best thing to do if you're going to make a specific art piece. It works in a show setting because, let's face it, there's characters talking and you're not going to be like, wow, look at that cloud.
Yeah.
I'm going to ignore everything that's being said. But when you're doing an artistic piece, it's completely different.
Ooh, another great example of clouds, and this is going back to animation, kind of like the show. If you remember our interview we did with now Amenidos and Lion. Did I say that right? Amenidos? What used to be Spirito and Lion. When we did talking about the Children of Night in a Children of Night animatic, if you go to their blog, they have an awesome example of how they did clouds, and they talked about it a little in our interview. But how they managed to do clouds was really cool as well, because it was kind of on that borderline traditional of like how clouds are supposed to look, but they brought in those spirals and those wisps along the outsides of the clouds and the insides. So if you're looking at cool ways that clouds represented animation that has to do with ponies, there's another shout out to that. Go check out the Children of Night blog.
Didn't they have like 3 or 4 different types of clouds as well?
They did.
I remember when
what they were used for and how they moved. What was their blog called? Do you remember?
I'll find it, but it'll be the blog post will be in the description if you're watching this on YouTube. If you're not watching this on YouTube, then I guess you're gonna have to go find it yourself or go to the YouTube page, because I'm not gonna link it on the screen because you can't click on it. So, but yeah, I believe they did a couple of different cloud like styles as well. They experimented with a bunch of stuff. That's a really good thing to bring up. And
it's called firstnightmarenight.blogspot.com. That's the name.
Thank you. So yeah, again, that'll be in the description if you guys want to check that out. It's a really good. I remember looking at that. That came out right around the time that we did the interview with them.
Yeah, he's actually
6 months ago.
Lion has been working on the the Brony documentary.
Yeah.
And so he's been busy with that and so he hasn't had time to like finish that project up. But I mean, we're
gonna have him back on the show when they finish up Children of the Night. Definitely. And so we could talk to them all about that.
Shouldn't be too far away, since the Brony documentary will be out by the time this goes to air.
So hopefully we'll have them up on the show very soon.
All right.
I don't know. We're quite busy actually. In the next month or so, we've got some stuff lined up, which is going to be super fun for you guys, which we'll talk about at the end of this episode.
Hooray!
But for now, I think Chimichanga's piece has had enough said about it. We've brought up Chimichanga a lot.
We're all big fans.
We'll have her on the show at some point. I'm sure. Bern can probably go bug her. And we'll talk to her about tons of pieces. Heck, we had one last week. That one in the cafe.
There's Canadians. That was something in common.
Mm-hmm, exactly. Hey.
Wonder if she's watching.
I can talk to her about hockey and maple syrup and
wine and French people.
Wine and French people. I wasn't aware that was a Canadian stereotype.
That's part of Canada.
That's
French
all right. Well,
what? Sorry, I'm not educated in the ways of Canada. I apologize. Hey.
Let's move away from the French part of the podcast and move into
our almost last piece.
I'm going to count this as our last official piece.
Official piece? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So our last official piece is called Clouds by My Magic Dream. That's my-magic-dream.
And it's accurate that you said my-magic-dream.
Yeah.
Because it's a dash piece.
Hey! Can you tell what pony we're biased for?
Hey,
no, you can tell what pony I'm biased for because I picked the art.
I allowed the art.
That's true. That is very true. We're very biased on this show, but
this is our show. Do what I want.
Who cares? Okay, so I picked this piece. This was the piece that made me go, we should do a piece. We should do an episode on something in this piece. And so then I went, oh, clouds, that works. But the cool thing about this piece is it uses so many techniques that a lot of people would consider to be unfinished. A lot of raw strokes are seen. The background is not exactly detailed. Even the pony itself is kind of just kind of put out there and not done in a traditional way. And I think that's really amazing that you can take a piece like this, and when you look at the individual elements, you see how they're made. But when you look at it as a whole, it comes out as a completely other piece.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love pieces like this. What is the term that I learned in art class recently? When you're looking at a piece like John Azeko, where you can't tell what brushes are used and how, this is all digital, of course, and you can't tell how he uses digital brushes, that's called tight brush strokes where you can't tell the edges. We've always liked to use the term messy medium for pieces like this, but it's called loose brush strokes because you can tell how the artist used his brush tools and whatever program is using, Sai or whatever.
Yeah, I'm not trying to hide it either.
Yeah, and it actually turns out pretty cool, like seeing those brush strokes, because it's more the interpretation of that's what a cloud is. So like the edges of these clouds, you can kind of see how he just kind of like dabbed at it with his, what am I looking for, tablet, and you can kind of see how those brushes are, especially in the top of the clouds and like unfinished cloud in the top right. And it ends up looking pretty cool, being able to see that, and it's rather enjoyable. It's like, it's a nice change from, you know, normal digital art where you can't tell.
I think there's something to be said in this piece, and this piece is done by, again, My Magic Dream, and I hadn't actually heard of My Magic Dream before I just saw this piece today, and you know, I've gone through his gallery, and the stuff that's in there is just a spectacular example of a person's natural style coming out through a piece. And I think it's so essential to, when you're making art, to step away from, that's why I say step away from references, step away from artists that you love, and use them to learn. But when it comes down to making your own piece, just kind of let it flow and let it come out naturally, because this is what you get. You know, this is this person saying, this is my interpretation of a cloud. This isn't someone else's interpretation of a cloud. This is my interpretation of cloud. And if you look at his other pieces, which I'm not going to put on the screen because you're going to have to do some work if you listen to this podcast. If you go there, you can see that just like his interpretation of ponies, and like he does a little bit of the abstract thing. Like who was it? Tatamne from a couple of episodes ago?
Yeah.
He does a little bit of that abstract, but I think that that's such a cool thing to do. And it's so essential for people to do if they want to make, you know, people are always worrying about, you know, what's my style? What's my style? And at the end of the day, your style comes out when you're not worried about what your style is, you know?
Yeah.
It's so essential. I mean, I don't want to go I could talk about the style for 20 minutes because people have preconceptions about it. So I'm not going to. But I think that's just like the base point right here is this piece is a great example of your style comes out when you stop worrying about what your style is. It's kind of like a natural singing voice, you know? Like you can try to sing like other people, and some people make it work, you know. Some people are impressionists. Some people can sing really well.
Yeah, but I took well, I guess you could argue that the other way. I took a sociology class. So the arguing point to that would be if you're learning art and learning different things about art, your style kind of depends on what artists you've seen, what artists you're a fan of, and then what techniques you've learned. Whereas singing is like you're born with the voice you're given. You can only change your voice and your technique of singing so much, because I'm kind of stuck with this raspy burned voice.
Oh no, that's definitely that's a great counterpoint.
As an artist, you're never stuck with that style. Like you may have had a style that you've learned and you're kind of stuck in a rut there, but there's always room to expand and to change and purposely try to do a different style. You know what I mean? There's always more to learn.
Yeah, for sure.
To where singing, like you can maybe improve your skill, but
there are different styles of music and there are different styles of singing, you know?
True, exactly. So if you're a music artist, then that would apply. So like a musician, that's a better term.
Okay, maybe that. But yeah, I just think that everyone has a different interpretation when it comes to taking ideas out of their head and putting it into something, you know, using their creativity to create something. Everyone's going to have something that looks different. And I think it's really essential that people let that come out and don't try to force it out.
Definitely.
Or force yourself to do something that you are unable to do, or perhaps something that is going against your natural style. It's tough. Art is so tough. And that's why people always go like, I want to do this person's style, because that style is proven, that style is there, people like it, you know, it's easy to imitate.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a risk, you know, if you sit down and you go, you know, I have to come up with a style, or I have to let my natural style come out. That's a risk, because for all you know, your natural style is stick ponies. And obviously that's not a natural style, but that's what your style comes out with if you don't have a lot of experience.
Letting what is you, like, come out onto your art, or like on whatever you're doing your art on, or what's a good way to word that? Like, letting your style show, as you put it. It's more of a
Mm-hmm.
I'm confused.
Well, okay. If I may shorten that down into something that might be a little bit more easy to digest.
Yeah.
Burned was just saying there's three, like, this is not definite. You should not take this show and be like, these guys, they know exactly what they're doing, and everything that they say is an artistic Bible. No, that's not what we're saying. But let me describe to you something that, like, because Burned, you and I had a much longer conversation about this.
Yeah, we have a little bit of time, so I figured I was gonna like hold it back. We have a little bit of time, so I was gonna.
No, we have a little bit of time. So I think, but just in general, like we've off the show, we've had a longer discussion with this, so I think I understand what you're saying. But basically, what Byrne was trying to say was, when you're creating art, and I guess as an extension, how people view art, there are three recognizable ways to do that, or not recognizable ways that people can do it, but recognizable ways that people naturally do it. You know. And so the first way, like you said, was realistic. You know, you're trying to
the realist mode, rather.
Realist mode. Thank you. I'm not sure the exact word, but
yeah, go on.
Realist mode. The second one was having to do with the emotional side of it. You know, what emotions does it provoke when you're creating it and when you're viewing it?
And that's the expressionist.
Right, and that was a good point that you brought up to me, because we figured out that I'm an expressionist. Like when I view it pieces, yeah. I'm an expressionist. And then finally, the last one was the abstract, which was very hard to explain, and I still don't fully understand it.
Yeah, I explained it poorly.
But basically, it's just looking at what the true meaning of this piece is, you know? Analyzing it and going, what does this piece mean?
The true essence not is a good way to put it. And it's a little
but true essence is like so hippie.
Yeah, it's confound and it's hard to understand, but that's kind of what makes abstract nice. And people think abstract piece, they think that crazy abstract, like Picasso or something.
Right.
When, like, that's not the true meaning of when looking at something abstract. Like, technically that is still abstract, but it's people think like art just that, and it can be more than that, but I don't know how to word it. I would have to look it up.
It's tough. I mean, it's just something to look at, because it definitely changed my perspective on how people view art, because I know, and everyone should know, that everybody views art differently, but the fact that naturally some of our tendencies come out to look at art differently, that's pretty fascinating to me. And you know, especially like learning, you know, that a lot of other people look at it from an emotional, because I know personally that's how I view art. As not a very technically minded person, that's how I look at art and I go, does this make me feel good? Does this make me like you know,
like how does this make me feel, you know?
Yeah, you know, do I enjoy this piece? Like a lot of the times, like that's why I'm so focused on pony art, and I'm like, the other art, because yeah,
exactly. You know. Another great example, and how I was absent for this day, but our art teacher talked about it, and basically her example for determining these three modes was to draw them in different ways. So when she talked about the realist mode, she said, grab your like graphite pencil, like just your pencil or pen, and sketch out and draw your favorite toy, your toy that you had the most connection to in childhood or something like that, or an object you're really connected to. So if I were doing this, I would probably pick the Rainbow Dash plushie that my best friend bought me. So like I would sketch it out, and you know, and try to make it look as realistic and close to the toy as possible. And that's when you're talking about, you know, like yeah, realistic or realism, whatever sense. And the second example for the expressionist was like, draw how this toy makes you feel. Like use colors and use pen or pencil, whatever, but just draw how it makes you feel, or some kind of interpretation of how you feel when you hug this toy, play with this toy, think about it, or whatever kind of connection you have behind it. And so like, okay, that was kind of cool, and I understand that. And then when she talked with the abstract, she's like, now I want you to draw what you think about or what this toy feels like, but only using color. You cannot draw the toy, you cannot describe the toy in like any kind of realistic sense. You have to only use colors and describe what the essence of that toy is. And that's kind of where I was like, oh, that kind of makes a little bit more sense, where it's not about how the toy makes you feel, it's not about what the toy looks like, but what...
It's kind of like what the toy is,
yeah,
in general.
in like a crazy way. I don't know. It's a little confusing me. I'm still learning, but...
Yeah, I think the abstract one is the odd one out for me.
So.
Well, yeah, I know, but there should be a way to understand it. You can't just be like, it's abstract hipster glasses, but I know what it means.
There's a definite way to put it, and we'll probably get to those in a little in depth later in our episodes.
Yeah, but anyways, I thought that was really interesting, and I think cycling back all the way to the beginning, I just thought that this piece was really interesting because I thought it brought out that kind of emotional side, especially because the person did not go, what's the technical details to a cloud, or what's the technical details to a mountain, It looks very much like a watercolor where the guy just went, this is the scene, let's try it. And he did it, and it came out fantastically. And I think, I'm not sure, what were the words that you used again? Was it like, it was loose brush?
Yeah, loose brush strokes. Right,
so this is a loose brush stroke. So I really like that style. As someone who's seen a lot of tight brushstroke work, tight brushstroke work is really hard to do.
Yeah.
But I think looking at pieces like this loose brushstroke is a good way to say to yourself, it's kind of like a midpoint, Yeah. You start out with no artistic ability, or ability is the wrong word, but you know what I mean. Being able to take images from your head and put them on paper, it's hard at the beginning. And then you have this like end goal of, oh my God, I want to be like this person. And then, so this is kind of like a middle ground of like, well, maybe I should try some new stuff, to help me get to the end. I don't know.
Well, what if this isn't a middle ground? What if this is what the artist wanted to be?
Oh no, I'm not saying that this isn't what the artist. Well, maybe mid-ground was the wrong term. Maybe this art piece can help you see other end goals, broaden your horizons in that sense. Because you can look at one artist and be like, I want to be exactly like that guy, but you need to have an eclectic taste in order to find yourself. You can't just be focused on one person trying to be that. So maybe instead of being somewhere in the middle, it's a different end goal. And it helps you explore different mediums, That was a good point, though, Pinky Dash. That was the wrong term for me to use. I don't know. What do you think about the piece, Pinky Dash?
My voice is sore, so I can't talk about it.
Do you like the piece, Pinky Dash?
I do, but not as much as some of the other ones that I've seen. Like, I'm not personally such a big fan of the whole messy or loose brush strokes. I'm not personally such a big fan of that, but... Sometimes it can work well, sometimes I just think it just looks a bit strange.
No, it's good to have opinions, especially on the show. It's good to have the opposite one. Yeah. So you should fight for that. You should like tight brush.
I'm sure he would be if his voice was feeling a little better.
I mean, this is very well done for what it is, but I just don't like the style.
I totally get that.
I mean, not just my Magic Dream. I mean, just the style in general.
Yeah. No, I totally get that. I totally get that.
You got to be air opposing to you. We're like, oh, I love this piece, and you're like, hey, no, I hate it.
Hey, remember when you said we had a lot of time?
Yeah. All right.
That went out the window.
Sorry.
So there's one more piece that I want to bring up, and I'm going to bring it up really quickly because we have some questions to get to. But I'm going to bring this up really quickly because it was funny and it made me laugh.
Funny.
So
I liked it.
And as a person who views the emotional side of it, it made me laugh. So I was like, we got to put this on.
Yeah.
So this last one, I'm going to introduce it because this is none of you guys wanted on the show, but I'm like, yeah, we got to do it. The last one is Derpy eating a cloud by Brony Toss, and it's just like, I don't know, it's funny. If I have to explain to you why it's funny, then it's lost all its charm. But look, it's a big fluffy cloud, and she's got her face all over, and look at how cute it is. There you go.
Well, something you brought up is that it looks lumpy, and it's a good point because it has all the little shadows on the lumps to help you know that it's physically 3D and lumpy cloud lumpy.
It looks like a pillow.
Exactly. And it overlaps portions of her body, so you can tell that it has, dimension. What's the term I'm looking for? Volume. That's the term. Volume. Volume. Substance is a good term too.
I'm sure Brony Toss, like looking back on it now, is just like, why would you feature this one?
Because
but it's just like, awesome. I don't know, it's silly and it's fun.
It's maybe a little bit far-fetched to say that this is like an expressionist piece because it's funny. That's getting not quite the point of those terms. But sure.
Brony Toss has got more more time put into things. A lot of his other pieces are quite fantastic, awesome. But this one was just like, it's funny. It's another way of doing a cloud. the fact that, like you said, it has volume and it feels more 3D and it feels lumpy. There's something about that, like the word lumpy, that I think really describes it well.
It's like we touched all the ways to do kind of clouds traditionally or artistically, and this is a way to do it cartoony, and it's done rather well. Bam!
All right, well we gotta move on.
Can we just quickly go over what clouds actually look like in the show?
I'll have put. We talked a little bit earlier, and I'll put those up on the screen.
Yeah, when we talked about how clouds look in the show, he'll flash some Vector Club things on it.
Yeah, we'll get those on the screen.
Sweet.
Good point.
And I'll include some in the favorites folder as well. Or someone else can do that because I'm lazy this week.
I just tried to start up the favorites folder and I can't change the name of it, so it's just
you have to go into the folder and then change it in there. Say edit folder once you're in it. It's confounded. Forget.
Yeah. DeviantArt is a big mess. Anyways, so do we want to move on to questions then? Because we've got oh my goodness, 7.5 minutes.
Piggy Dash, save us.
Okay, questions. All right, I got 2 questions. First question here that I've got is, I love creating digital arts with high resolution and I've got good feedback and improving my technique in my every piece, but I've got serious problems with speed. I'm an extremely slow artist compared to anyone else. How do you think I should improve my speed in drawing? Sent into an email via Discord.
Be John Azeko. Sorry.
Be a trill.
No. Something I learned in drawing 1 was to try to care less. Maybe that's a poor way to put it. But when we started drawing...
No, that is exactly right.
When we started drawing human figures, what we tried to learn is what are important lines in the figure and try to create shapes and then try to look at areas of negative space and then use those to intelligently put lines on your art. So this is straight up sketching and making an undersketch, but for some people this might, again, take a lot of time. But even when coloring, you're looking at a piece or looking at what you want to create, and you have to put the lines down, and you have to put them down intelligently, and you have to put them down somewhat quickly. So it's a really good exercise, especially if you're looking to increase the speed in which you do art, to just really throw it down and try to make it as quick as possible. And like, that sounds silly, but it actually can be a lot of fun to there's a reason the artists do like the 5-minute challenge or the 15-minute challenges. It's because they're challenging themselves to make art more quickly, and it ends up so you don't spend a lot of time on it, because if you spend a lot of time on art, you end up overthinking things, and things might not come out how you want to. That's why a good strategy is to step back and stop working on it and look at it, so on and so forth. So really, I'm sure you guys might have some alternate advice, but my advice is just try drawing really fast. Try doing art super quickly. Try being the John Azeko of the art world and just sketch stuff out. Like, if you ever see him on at conventions, he'll do an undersketch with a blue pencil in 30 seconds, and then he'll grab his pen and then he'll go over it and make his finalized lines, and then he'll do some grayscale shading, and then he hands it to you and you hand him $30 and you walk away.
Finish it. And finish it. That's an important part as well. You can be like, okay, I'm going to do this really fast, and then you get about halfway through and you're like, this looks like crap, I'm just going to throw it out. No, finish it.
Yeah.
Attempt, just see what it looks like
when
it's
there's
done.
Nothing wrong with doing something really quick and saying I hate this and throwing it out and doing something that you'll like better.
Right, but there's a difference between doing something quick and doing something halfway quickly.
Yes.
You know? You can do something quick and say, oh, I don't like it, but if you have to do something quick and finish it so that you can get the whole picture and go.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times you'll create something and you won't do the shading and you look at the lines and you're like, oh, I hate this. But sometimes the shading is what helps bring it out, you know?
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
The only way you can improve yourself in speed and drawing is try drawing quickly. That's really the only way. So, anyway, I've got a serious problem with speed, then you have to draw quickly and you might be able to solve your problem with speed. I mean, it takes practice, it really does. Art's a practice. So just... that's easily the best thing. Even if you don't have a problem with speed, or if you don't think you draw quickly, just try it. Draw super quickly. There's lots of challenges out there, for artists and different things, but it's a lot of fun. Do it. Try it.
Also practice.
Quickly.
With time. No, just with time in general. You say in the question, he says, what do you say exactly? I'm an extremely slow artist compared to anyone. No, you're not. I guarantee you.
Yeah.
I guarantee you that you're not a slow artist compared to anyone. You're just looking at all the best, You can't compare yourself to the best. You have to compare yourself to what's on your level right now. And everyone goes through the same thing, and everybody has these same thoughts.
Yeah.
I'm way too slow. Blah, blah, blah.
If
comes the time.
Right now, if sketching is your thing you're having a long time with, try sketching really quickly and doing sketches quickly. And then from there, you can try, after you are good at doing sketches quickly, coloring quickly, and then try to color in and shade a piece quickly. And then once you've kind of nailed that of how to nail values and colors and shading quickly, then move on to how to finalize a piece quickly and move in steps like that. That's also a decent way. Anyway.
I think that's everything. Piggy Dash, do you have anything?
No, not really. I think it's all been said.
No Australian tricks? Like rub yourself with a koala and try art or something?
Flip upside down and...
What do you mean upside down? You guys are upside down.
I know. So you're trying to flip upside down in order to imitate our
the
art?
right way up. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. I pulled that one out.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, man. All right, I got one more question. If time for
cool, let's do it.
This is a bit of a silly one because we need some meat.
Yes,
I love it.
From one of our favorite questionnaires.
Okay, so
sorry.
Questionnaires.
Questionnaires.
It was like questionnaire.
I'm gonna play that. I'm gonna play that audio bit back again. 3, 2, 1.
Questionnaires.
All right.
Right.
All right. So, question is: you are all locked in a room with all the art you've ever had on the show. You have run out of food and must resort to eating the art to survive. What art piece do you eat first and why? Sent in by Fluttertree. Thank you, Fluttertree.
This is easily one of the best people who send us in questions ever. And some of the most ridiculous memes on the show I think we've ever had.
Wait. Does it have to be featured from the show?
Yes.
Yeah. Art that we've ever had on our show.
Damn it! Because I was going to say Delicious Ramen by Soapy Solar.
That's cheating.
But no, it's got a pony in it, so that's not cheating. But okay, fine. Okay, somebody else go first then, because I have to look through our art.
Oh man.
I haven't actually looked, but something with Pinkie Pie in it because Candy and because Fairy Floss Mane and.
Okay then, interesting.
I don't know. Well, like when I think about us all stuck in a room and having to eat art, if it's like me individually,
Wait. Because he's not here, can I pick, like, eating Flutter Guy?
Wait, what? Hopefully we're talking about his fan art.
Wow. Wow.
Okay. We can eat his fan art.
I'm gonna make you eat the Woona brick.
It's only talking about art pieces we've had on the show. It's not
art
talking
pieces.
about us.
Jesus.
You can't cannibalize. That's not part of the question.
Okay,
but he tastes so
Can I do the question now so we can stop all the shipping in the chat?
Yes, please.
Okay. My answer would be my avatar from the Hearthswarming Eve. There you go. No, actually I was going to say the Woona brick before I made that joke.
What is the
Remember on our egophiliac interview when she talked about how someone sent her in or like she like really wanted their own Woona, so they got a brick and drew Woona on it, and they're like, "This is my Woona brick." So they actually have a brick with Woona like drawn on it. Like, this is my Woona plushie made out of brick. It's Woona brick. Everyone loves.
I don't imagine it had much nutritional value.
Yeah. Get a lot of
this would be awful for
iron.
your teeth. Anyway,
oh my god. This question just
if we were all stuck in a room and had to eat art, I'm not sure what I would eat first, but probably the art that looks most delicious.
Duh.
But if we were all stuck in a room, I would definitely grab like the Fireflies piece off the wall and like hold it. Like, this is mine. Rainbow Plasma, you can't eat it. And then you'd end up chasing me around this square room.
That's true.
Like
I should have said that. All the annoying pieces that Burns ever brought up.
Yeah, I think that's like if we were stuck in a room and like eventually we started to go stir crazy, we'd get all the other pieces of art that like we didn't want to feature on the show, but other people wanted to feature on the show. It's like, no, and we'd like eat it.
Like shove it in our mouths.
Yeah, it's like, I hate this one. But I can't like think of an art piece that I was like, nah, I didn't want to have this on the show. I pretty much loved everything we featured.
Can I just say that I had such a hard time doing this because I can't imagine a piece of paper that I want to eat.
Yeah. And then like I hold respect for the artists we have on the show. So it's like I feel like it's insulting to like eat their art. Maybe it's a compliment to eat their art. But I'm trying to think of art we've had on the show that looks delicious. One of my art teacher's favorite things to say was that there's paints.
Wait, your art teacher has something to say on this?
Yeah. His art teacher my art teacher, he used to say, #1 rule in art class, or in painting class, is don't eat your paint. He said that's really hard to do, and he understands because paint looks delicious, and some colors of paint and pigment look so extraordinarily delicious that he's probably eaten paint now and then. But he says to ignore that and don't eat your paint. So,
can we get your art teacher on the show?
No, I'd love to have Grant on the show. I freaking love that guy. But anyway, like one of the things he would stress is don't eat your paint no matter how delicious it looks. And whenever we'd go to like the art gallery and at our college and like look at stuff, you're like, wow, the color on this looks delicious. I just want to like eat it. And I'd be like, that's weird, Grant, but I understand.
Wait, no, I'd choose Colgate because mint flavor.
Yeah, so like I'm sure it's a bit awkward, but I'm sure we've had ponies that look delicious.
Yeah. Marshmallow ponies.
I don't even know how you could possibly turn a question about what piece of art do you want to eat into a philosophical story about your art teacher and what it means to find pieces delicious. What are you on? Because I would love some of it.
Would it help me with my sore throat?
Oh my god. I don't even know what to say, Bern. I don't know what to say. You are crazy. You're absolutely crazy. Speaking of crazy, this podcast length is getting crazy, considering we hit about 30 minutes and we were mostly done the pieces, and now, what? We've got a spoiler cast to get to, you know.
I want to do plugs.
Well, you've got a spoiler cast to get to.
Do plugs, but you better be fast, or else I'm going to plug you in the face.
That's awkward. Okay, so we have a DeviantArt page. That's cutieartcrusaders.deviantart.com, and you can go there to check out all of the art we featured and more. If we couldn't work it on the show, whatever, blah, blah. And we have an email account, and that's cutieartcrusaders@gmail.com, and you can send us in the awesome questions that, like, Fluttertree has sent us in. And you can also send us in art submissions or art you think we have on the show, anything like that. But make sure to put what it is in the description because it helps us. And then we have a Twitter account, and that's Cutie Art Crusade, or at Cutie Art Crusade, excuse me. No S, just at Cutie Art Crusade. And you can talk to Rainbow Plasma, mainly there, and ask any more questions, chat, whatever. And then lastly, we have one more thing that I'm spacing, a Facebook page, which is Facebook.com/Cutie Art Crusaders. And
yes.
Send us in questions. Send us in questions.
Facebook, Twitter, and DeviantArt are 3 different places where you can go and get updates for our live streams that we do every single week, Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's where you can go, see this live, come and chat with us, etc., etc. That is the end of the show, folks.
Nope, one more thing.
Yeah, god damn it, we have that stupid fan appreciation crap, don't we?
Yeah, we got the fan appreciation, awesome stuff, not crap. And then
I don't mean that. I hope people don't think I'm serious there.
No.
He was being serious.
Hey. Also, YouTube, you can comment there as well. I don't get it.
Oh, for the love of...
I like saying it because people always comment there. Yeah, it's Everfree, net, whatever, and it's not us.
Get on to the...
Schmouth, man. Anyway.
Do you even know the information? You don't even know the information. I know the information.
Man, there's some people who have asked questions on the YouTube page. I've read them, trust me, and I'll get to them, and we're going to answer them in future episodes. We didn't get to them this episode. We didn't have time. You do the junk, Mr. I'm Fancy
Shut your
Pants.
face, and I'm going to continue. All right, so if you guys have stuck around for an hour and 5 minutes and 30 seconds or so, whatever, then you guys will probably fans of the show. And as fans of the show, you guys send us in some awesome fan art. So ever since that episode, we were looking at different ways that you guys can participate in the show. And we've come up with an idea. So every once in a while, we're going to have an episode that we need your guys' help with. And so we're going to ask you guys, hey, can you make us, or not make us stuff, but send in certain art pieces that have a theme to them, and then we'll pick and choose.
We're still gonna ask you to make stuff, but just make stuff for this episode. So like, it still has to be art content that you make and you like put some work into, and that you've made, but make it for this episode and that works around our theme or whatever we're doing.
Right. Okay. So the first theme, to kind of give you a base for what the heck we're talking about here, the very first theme is going to be OCs. We're planning our big OC extravaganza. We're going to have a 2-parter episode teaching you all about OCs, what the difference between them, how to make a good one, color choices, blah, 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 all of that story even.
A lot of people kept asking us to do OC episodes and stuff, so.
Exactly. So we're gonna do a big one like that. That's going to be around the end of February. And so what we're going to do for you guys right now is we're going to have your guys' OCs or any OCs that you happen to draw on the show. Mm-hmm. And we would love to be able to have the first episode describing a good OC, and then the second episode giving examples of OCs that, we'd love to feature on the show.
And that you guys have sent in, so on and so forth.
Right, the ones that you guys have sent in. So, here's the deal. We've got a couple of episodes planned in the future, and so this is going to be a little bit while. So, you have exactly, from the date that this is coming out, you have exactly 1 month to send us in stuff to our email. That's cutieartcrusaders@gmail.com. Send us in stuff that you guys have made of OCs. It can be any OC. It can be your OC. It can be... don't make it ROC. We've already had a big episode of ROC. Don't do that. It can be your OC, it can be your friend's OC, it can be a famous person's OC.
Well, what I'd like to limit it to is it would be nice to have your guys' OC because, again, we want to feature you. But if you're doing your art, try to limit it to just OCs. That means, don't draw pretty pictures of you dancing with the main six or whatever. Try to draw pretty pictures of you and other OCs like Sibsy or which is Wildfire.
Or maybe just you.
Snowdrops or some kind of renowned or well-known OC, whether it's someone who makes the show. And it can be us, we're OCs, that's fine, but try to stray away from us because we've had a lot of us. So, your OCs or other more known OCs of the show or something, but make it about OCs and make it about your OC. Try to stay away from, just normal show art.
Yeah, exactly. Because we're the episode that we're going to be having about is about OCs.
Because we're going to make it that episode and talk about what kind of makes a nice OC and helps make you unique. And then if you guys send in awesome examples of that, that'll make an awesome second episode. Okay.
So that episode's coming up in about a month. So you have exactly 1 month. That is February 22nd, 2013. So if that is not sent in by February 22nd, 2013, we're not going to include it in the show. So we're going to have more details on that because we're kind of rushing it because holy crap, look at the time. But we're gonna be having a lot more details. Yes, we do have things to do today, Piggy Dash. We're gonna have more details about that on our next episode and further episodes after that. But if you guys kind of get the premise, then feel free to send us into our email. That is it for the show. Quick outro. My name is Rainbow Plasma. I am joined today by Mr. Burndo1 and Mr. Piggy Dash. We thank you guys for watching. We hope you guys enjoyed this episode, even if it is ridiculously long. And we'll see you guys next week.
I'm Burndo1. I like saying my name.
Bye. Okay, then. Welcome to the spoiler cast. Woo! Yay! It's back finally after 3 weeks. Yay!
Oh, God.
Okay, so this was episode 10, right? Season 3, episode 10. Keep calm and flutter on, which means that this is the 8th spoiler cast.
That name.
Yeah.
That name.
Yeah, it's a great name. And I think it was a pretty good episode. What do you think? Oh, sorry. I'm dumb.
What's wrong with you?
My name is Rainbow Plasma. Today I'm joined by Burndo1 and no one else.
Hey, I like saying my name, man.
No, so Burndo1 is joining me.
My name's Burndo1. Me.
I'm trying to cut you off from saying your own name. But yeah,
Get you.
Biggie Dash had to go because he forgot to watch the episode, and we have to record this in 15 minutes.
Water his koala or something.
I don't know, something Australian, of course. But yeah, we're gonna do this. We're gonna have a short talk about the episode because I thought it was pretty good. Initially, I actually thought it was not that great. When I watched it this morning, I didn't think it was that great. But then I watched it a second time, and I think I gained an appreciation for it. What do you think?
I enjoyed it. I watched the episode and I liked it. And I don't want to be one of those Brody elitists, as the YouTube comments would say, where it's they're pandering to us and giving us what we want. Damn them. It's yeah, that's friggin' awesome. I'm super pumped that they're doing that kind of awesome stuff. I'm pumped that they brought back Discord. I don't control how they bring back Discord, but I'm glad that they did, and it was cute to have an episode. It's just that, in my personal opinion, to have in this world that has been developed, what was this supreme villain and evil being, to all of a sudden characterize him in such a simple way in 22 minutes was just a big letdown for me. And I got that entire feeling through the entire episode. And it was super depressing the entire time I watched it. And I'm sure if I keep rewatching it, I'll like it more and more. And it was a cute episode, and there was cool chaos things, and John Delancey did friggin' awesome the entire episode, and I loved hearing his voice again. I love seeing his character again, but it's like, you can't have a being that awesome and just work him into an episode, and all of a sudden, yay, now he's a good friend again. Like,
no, absolutely.
man.
And I think this is the most common complaint. And even after watching it multiple times, I still have this complaint. It's that this was a two-parter. This was a two-parter. It should have been a two-parter. Like you said, you can't condense someone and this kind of story where you change from one thing to another into one part. And this would have worked perfectly for two parts. And what I think is the general consensus of the fandom is the ending was very rushed. You know, he had not made enough of a shift where it was possible for him to like suddenly have a big event and go, oh my god, this is a big deal, you know? It was just kind of out of nowhere. Like, he was still being like, oh, look, I'm Discord. He was still being typical Discord, and all of a sudden, bam, something happens, and it's like, oh my goodness, friendship is magic. It's like, ugh.
It would have been nice to have him, like, something happen and just, like, him poof and completely remove himself from the storyline in the episode and, like, fly off into the distance or something because they pissed him off. Or something like that, and been able to work it into another episode. But it's like, they're already working on a short season, and it's only 13 episodes, and I know that they wanted to bring Discord back, and because we all loved him so much, I just felt like they could have done it in a better fashion. So it's like, I hate to be hypocritical, not hypocritical, but I hate to be
that
criticizing of things.
Mm-hmm.
Not even that guy. I want to be that guy. Like, chosen words towards how they made this episode. Swear words, but it's
Wow.
like, you get so worked up being a brony and like loving this, like everything about the show so much that it's like you have such high expectations, and when they don't meet your expectations, you're just like, burn it all down. So it's like, I'm still working through that and trying to like mature out of it. I feel a little childish to be so let down about an episode and about something I love so much. But on a more mature end, I loved seeing Discord again. I thought it was awesome to have another Discord episode. And I look forward to seeing how they will use Discord in the future. Like, maybe he'll become some kind of, like, whatever, blah, 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 looking, making crap up fan.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That is one of the things that this episode is very dependent on how it's used in the future, you know? Because if Discord suddenly becomes like, what was that? It wasn't Philomena. Who was the little phoenix that hatched out of the egg in season 1?
Yeah, the forgotten bird.
Yeah, I don't even remember the name. You know, I'm starting to get crap for that. But yeah, if it becomes another character like that, then it's like, really, like, come on. But I think if he appears, because they're setting up for a season finale. We all know this. There's a bunch of different stuff, including in this episode. Why did Princess Celestia suddenly want to use Discord for his magic? You know, there's something they're setting up for. And so if they use him in the final episode, I think I'll look back on this episode and go, this was really well done. But if they completely forget him for the rest of the season, I'm gonna be more hesitant to say that this is a great episode.
Like, the only real lack of what is the word I'm looking for? Not consistency, but continuity is that that little bird that they left out, which I also can't remember the name of.
They're pretty good. They're pretty good otherwise.
Like, if in the next episode or something, they have a tip of the hat to that bird, and it's a little bit more mature, and like it's in the background, and Spike's like feeding it or petting it or something. Something as simple as that would be nice. Like, even in Adventure Time, like they'll break his violin or something, and then that worm, who I can't remember the name of, who lives in Jake's viola, will just like squirt off or like squirm off screen or something, and like that's a huge friggin' continuity thing. That's awesome, that fans love. And it's like, it's something constant continuity like that the show lacks a little bit. Like, they had Owlicious like like fly out of the house when Trixie turned upside down. Like, that's nice that they're always taking their pets into consideration, but it's like I think they need a little bit more than that to make some of the super fans happy and like to make me happy, you know.
I just think this is one instance where they really have to pay attention to that. Continuity, for me, a lot of the different times, it's not necessary. It's nice to see for sure, but it's not necessary. But I feel like this is something that's like, okay, guys, you wanted to bring Discord back and please us, then you're gonna have to really pay attention, because this can't be he's reformed and we never see him again, you know. This needs to be a Luna. Like, Luna, you can't just say, oh, she's reformed and she never came back again. And so they started doing that in season 2 and season 3, and they're getting better at that. But you need to be aware of this right now.
One of the things where it's like I had no complaints about that in season 1, and still not a lot of complaints about that in season 2. But it's like we always, when we do this little sportcast, always bring in how like Lauren Faust had the original vision, blah blah blah. I feel like she would have done a real awesome job of like keeping that continuity and that consistency throughout the villains they bring in and the stuff they do. And then in this season, it's like there's such a lack to that, and we move from one awesome thing to the other. We move from Trixie coming back to Discord coming back in such an anticlimactic episode.
Right, yeah, no, I can definitely see where you're coming from
everyone's looking for that super awesome cataclysm, where it's like having the Trixie thing resolved in one episode, that's perfectly fine, because Trixie was always a minor villain. She was a minor villain and a minor character. But to have a villain who was a 2-part character and such this epic depiction of evil that it actually gave me real feels when they vanquished him, just like they did when they vanquished Nightmare Moon, it was right along that same concept. And it's like, there just wasn't the feels that I wanted to get from someone who I've worked such an epic opinion towards, and it was a big letdown.
I guarantee you, if you're gonna watch this again, and I think at the end of the day, the consensus that's going to come out in your mind, that's going to stick with you, is that it was rushed. And I think that to me is the defining moment. Not that I think the concept was great. I think the characterization of Discord throughout most of it, anyways. The characterization of Discord, the characterization of Fluttershy, who has not appeared in this season at all. Basically, it's been very quiet. Not even naturally quiet. You just not appearing in like any episodes. But Fluttershy's episode, fantastic. She did a great job.
Definitely.
The characterization for those two main characters was great, and the banter they had back and forth was good. It's just there's like a deflating feeling at the end when you hit that like noticeable like change. It's understandable in a kids show that he's gonna change. Okay, so you see that coming, but when it happens so suddenly, you're like, there is an element of realism where it's like he goes from immediately going, oh, I don't care, to suddenly, oh, right, I'm going to reverse everything that I ever did,
Like, that was a cute concept. Like, oh, I had, like, this is my only friend and I want to preserve that. Like, that's cute, and I get that. But all I can really do is shake my fist in the air.
I think you really will appreciate it more if you watch it again, because I caught a lot of things that I didn't catch in the first few through. For example,
there's still a lot of awesome things. Go on, you can list them.
Okay, so a couple of awesome things that I noticed was like the way that they developed the twist at the end was suddenly he's like, oh my goodness, I appreciate friendship, whatever. And what I didn't notice in the previous part when I watched it the first time was they were like, I've never had a friend before. That was a little one-off, and he turned that into a joke, so you kind of dismiss it, right? But it was a part of his character. And so having that first friend is like, whoa, that's a big deal. Nobody's ever given him a chance before.
Sure.
So that can be used, but I feel like they had all these wonderful building blocks, all of these fantastic pieces that could lead up to this great 2-part episode. But I
definitely think they should have made it a 2-part.
They just ran out of time. The first 20 minutes.
Again, is this 10?
This is number 10.
Number 10.
Okay, but if you look at it, they had the first 15 to 20 minutes was like the first 15 20 minutes of a part 1, and then they went, oh, we don't have 30 more minutes, we only have 5. I just think if they ended off like episode 10, like this episode, if they ended that off with Discord saying, you know what, I don't care. Fluttershy says, I'm not going to use the elements of harmony, and Discord says, haha, I've won, and he starts this whole thing, and then it causes a pause. And in the second episode, we see not only a conflict with Discord, having seemingly won in his mind, but also having these doubts because he's hurt his friend. And also Fluttershy's point of view, which is, I made a promise to a friend, and I want to help him as opposed to just sealing him away again. And that could take up an entire another 20 minutes and lead you up to this fantastic finale in which both of those stories come together, and it really, it puts you in that end place where he's reformed properly, I just feel like there's an episode we're missing here,
Yeah, but still, like, you feel cheated. You feel like there's so much missing.
I don't know. I've never been rabidly a fan of Discord. Like, I like Discord, I like the character, but people people go hog wild for villains. Like, they go crazy for villains. And I've never been like that. So it's not quite as much as like a disappointment to me. But I totally get where you're coming from. And I think just from like an objective point of view, this could have been a fantastic 2-part episode.
When I first watched, like, this is more of a personal thing, but when I first watched like season 1 and 2, like, I just watched them kind of back to back, and I did that all solo. I wasn't part of the brony fandom. I wasn't like, I was obviously a huge brony because I love the show, and I would go browse like the front page of My Little Pony now and then, but I was still really new to the subject and really open to, or like, I was still kind of closed-minded to the subject and like openly liking My Little Pony. But what got me so into the season 1 and 2 is like I watched them by myself. It was like my thing, and I watched them for my own personal enjoyment, and I got simple feels is the simple way to put that. I got simple emotion out of watching the first season especially, and then the second season. Like, I'm not ashamed to admit that I teared up a little when, like, they vanquished some crap, or when something would happen, or when they, vanquished Nightmare Moon, or some crap like that. It's like, I got a feel out of, and like an emotion,
an emotional reaction. Stop using the word feels, you weirdo.
And that's why I watched it. That's why I enjoyed the season so much. And at first, I really didn't enjoy the 2 Discord episodes, because I was watching it for those simple emotions, that it got me super down and super depressed when each pony was like the opposite of their self, whatever, and they all got super depressed, and like Twilight got depressed. I felt like carried that emotional feel as like a 20-something-year-old adult. I carried that same feel as like an emotional down point. And then when they finally got rid of friggin' Discord and like vanquished him, and like, oh, there's the rainbows and everything, I got a serious uplift from that, and I enjoyed seeing him removed from this childish reality that was this world of My Little Pony to me. Like, and so like that was a big thing for me personally. So in this, when I have this character who I have so much built up villainization for, to just bring him in and then make him unvillainized in this character that is now a friendly thing and being in 20-something minutes, was just really depressing, man. And I can't help but carry that feel.
Yeah, I mean, again, that just goes down to my main point, which was they should have been a double episode, and I think it would have been perfectly fine. I think like there's an aspect. I think there's an aspect that you need to look at, which is that Discord was interesting compared to the other villains, because Discord wasn't necessarily a villain, though.
Yeah,
because he wasn't
kind
evil.
Yeah, he was that chaotic neutral or whatever.
And somebody actually brought this up.
He was just pure chaotic. He was pure chaos.
Yeah, okay, yes.
And it was his evilness that came out through that.
It's just because he was different. That's why he was evil, you know? And he was arrogant, and you wanted to do
That's what makes him
things.
a great villain.
Right, okay, fine. What I'm saying is, he's not inherently doing things for an evil purpose. He's having fun with it, and he's doing things his way, and he's not seeing other people's point of view, but he's just having fun and being chaotic. He's not being evil. So I think it's easier for him to have this kind of shift than, say, Chrysalis coming in, or Nightmare Moon. Like, obviously Nightmare Moon had a plot point, you know. You freed Luna from this whole Nightmare Moon, and that was good, because it was a definite point, and that was fine. But, you know, I agree with you. I do. I feel like that should have had another episode. But I don't know. Like, it's logical to me that he would be able to be reformed, because we always see him as a villain. We use the term villain, but in reality, he's just goofy, you know. And he's doing things
like the fact that they managed to reform him. I thought it would have been a much better episode if the reformation was unknown. So, say if they had him and he had that point where he was like, "You're my only friend." If they kept that as an unknown factor, and maybe he left, like I said earlier, or was removed from the scene, and that he he didn't want to keep causing chaos in this area because he didn't want to lose his friend, so he kind of neutralized himself in the situation or something because he didn't want to lose his only friend. I don't know. I'm not good at writing stories.
But yeah, but that's unrealistic in terms of canon, because there's no way that the main six would let that happen. He can't just fly off and live somewhere else peacefully. That's not the point. Like, live somewhere else and still be himself, you know? Because from their point of view, if he doesn't reveal that he's changed, then they're going to still want to lock him up. One more thing I want to bring up, because I thought it was an interesting... One of the reasons why I didn't initially like the episode that much was because I thought that I thought that the rest of the main 6, not Fluttershy, but the rest of them, were quite... I mean, yes, it's Discord, okay? You have to be very careful with him. But they were, like, very quick to go to the turn him into stone thing. They're very harsh in this episode, you know?
Shoot, I would, because I had such a victimization of this guy. He was the literal embodiment of hell for those 2 episodes that they were in. So, like, that was perfectly believable on my point.
I get it. I just feel like there was some overreaction, like, oh, I got tea spilt on me. Put it back into stone, you know? Like, it was just like, whoa, just a second. Like, I get it. Like, the fact that he was like, oh, it was an accident. It was like, oh, yeah, okay, fine.
Like, he was having fun in a simple, chaotic way, and it was almost like... It was very mild fun, too.
I know, but I just felt like there was a little bit of an overreaction. I just felt like it was, like, a little bit harsh, and they had to have that harshness, because then they had Fluttershy being, like, the other side of that, being, no, we need to be patient with this. So I get that needed to be there, but at the same time, it was like, because they were so overreactive. Like, I understand, you know... He makes the beavers evil and they make the dam. It's like, whoa, okay, no, that's a big deal. Like, Discord, that's your fault. You know, you need to make up with this or you're turned to stone. I get that. Yeah, I'm with them there.
The beavers in the background and stuff, like, that's all cute and that's nice.
Yeah, but there was something about that, like, dinner scene where, like, one thing happened and it was just like, put it back into stone. It was like, well, okay.
Tip of the hat to Beauty and the Beast there.
Like, nice. Yeah, it was just like, chill out just a little bit there.
And again, in the first 2 episodes of season 2, like, he was such this powerful being and could literally warp anything and do anything to his will, and he turned the entire world upside down, literally. And in this episode, he had a chaotic dinner party and made Fluttershy's house twirl. And then he made a lake. Again, it's so unlike his character. That's not the true embodiment of a chaos. That's
I felt like he was obviously limited by the fact that the elements of harmony, which he knows that they work and he knows what they can do right there. So he couldn't. He was pushing his limits, you know, pushing to see how much he could do. And then as soon as he got Fluttershy to admit that she wouldn't use the elements of harmony against him, he was like, there we go. And he immediately changes the weather and he starts doing stuff like that.
But it's like, I was so willing to give praise to how well the show was written and executed in season 1 and 2. And it's just, I'm not that willing to give praise anymore.
I'd love to hear your reaction upon watching it a couple more times next week. Like, I'd love to revisit this a little bit because I had a similar reaction where I didn't really like the episode that much. But after watching it a couple times...
As far as them wanting to bring Discord back into the season, I thought it was fine. It actually really makes me look forward to, hopefully, a 2-part ending to the season.
Yes.
It makes me really look forward to that and hope that it's fantastic. Mm-hmm. And I look forward to avoiding all spoilers whatsoever.
Yeah, okay. Can I bring up a point really quick?
No, you may not.
Okay, fine. Go ahead.
Yes, we all hate spoilers. I was spoiled too, and I was just as let down as you were, man.
Yep.
But it's unfortunate.
I just wanted to bring up a point that I find it. I think it's a sign of disrespect when people spoil other people, and I also think that a good point to bring up, because we're an art show, is artists are not exempted from this rule. Yeah. Just because you make something that's visually appealing does not mean you get to post something a day early. Because I had a couple people who I watch post some spoilery stuff a day early with no tags or anything. Mm-hmm. I personally find that disrespectful.
Yeah, I made the mistake of following John Delancey on Twitter.
Yeah, well, that's mistake. But like even you know, there's like the fact that we have to avoid websites 2 days before, I don't know. We could go on for a long time about spoilers. Just be nice. Think about other people when you're doing it. I understand you're excited, but like learn the value of patience, you know? I don't know.
They need to have a patience episode.
Yeah, we have to have a patience episode for sure.
Nice. Didn't they? I thought they did.
I just find it so disrespectful when people, like, when you make a piece of art and then you release it the day before, you could wait. You can wait.
You could wait.
You could wait. I don't know.
It's my job. I have to browse these art things. It's what I do for this podcast.
I don't know. Anyways, those are our opinions. I'm surprised that Byrne did not like this episode that much, but I can see where you're coming from, kind of. I disagree, but I can see where you're coming from.
The whole beginning and like even like the middle part, like everything up to before he changed, I really enjoyed. Like, it was Discord having his fun and having his way innocently enough, you know, and just chaos. And it was nice. It was actually really enjoyable. It was Discord having fun in his own way with the main 6. And then there was the friend thing, which was cute, and I was looking forward to see how they use it. But he was so quick to be like, wow, she's my only friend. Sit on a bush.
Right.
I'm now her friend.
Right. Like I think the
there's
way
the
that
feeling of rushed there.
Yeah.
But it's like, before that, I enjoyed all of it. I really.
But
did.
I think the fact that it was rushed deflates the rest of the episode. You know.
Yep.
You know, it breaks down what they were trying to build up to.
What we were saying before would have made a great two-parter, but My Little Pony also makes a great 36-season, frickin' 36-episode
26.
season. 26, thank you. Whatever. I was too mad, I couldn't think of numbers. Again, brony anger, like, oh, darn it, wave my fist in the air.
This is when we actually get to hear Burned angry about stuff. What a weenie.
Well, it's hard, man. You develop so much fan likeness and fan passion about something so simple, and then when something so simple doesn't go your way, you can't help but just be like, I'm 7 years old and I'm angry.
It's the dangers of hype, for sure.
And then my boss tells me to stop ranting on My Little Pony at work, and then it's awkward.
It is the dangers
to be an adult.
It's definitely the dangers of hype. So yeah. I don't know. That's it from us this week.
Yeah.
Hope you guys enjoyed the episode, or at least didn't want to smash your face against a wall, like Burned here. But yeah, we're gonna see you guys next week. Hopefully, we're not sure about Cosmic Unicorn, but maybe we'll have her on next week. But we'll definitely
hoping. I'm not sure what happened. We kind of lost contact right before the day when she was recording. So like. Maybe she had some important art school stuff to do. But.
Yeah, no, we thought depending on it doesn't matter when we have her on, it'll be great because we know she's very knowledgeable and it'll be fun to talk to her about that. But anyways, this is the end of the spoiler cast.
Artists for a reason, so we hope to have her on.
This is the end of the spoiler cast, and hope you guys enjoyed it. We'll be back definitely next week with another spoiler cast, provided that My Little Pony doesn't decide to take another 2-week break.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's it for this week, and we'll see you guys next week.
Love you guys.